think people should just be creative. And I hope that, through my work and stuff, people can take that message of, be creative. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Worry about yourself and just have fun with it.
Welcome back to the Corner Talks podcast. I have my good friend here.
How's it going, man? Happy to be back.
No, it shouldn't be about anything. Like, this is one life.
You have one life? Like, fucking do it.
My guy.
Like, she just got it. She totally understood it.
20 years old when I started just watching a lot of movies.
And it tells a story. I want to tell a story.
Sound engineer, sound recordist, Luke DeMichino. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Good. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. I should mention you better known as CHINO as your stage name. That's kind of like your professional name in the business. That's how I really knew you as. And what's funny, when I made you the invite link in the podcast questions, I only knew you by CHINO. There's no indication of your full name on Instagram.
Yeah, and a lot of people just kind of go by that, so I'm just kind of used to being called that, so I just kind of reference myself as that now. So
yeah, for sure. What's the any sort of backstory behind getting that name?
Honestly, it was it's kind of funny. It was a PlayStation name.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's someone like just mispronounced, and then all my friends just like loved it, so it just turned into like that. And then I took that name, and since everyone knew me by it, I just made it my music name just to like keep it consistent, I guess.
Yeah, the important thing, man, is that it rolls right off the tongue. It's nice and short. You know what I mean? It's not like a long, pointless kind of name.
Yeah, exactly.
Exhaustive name. Yeah, for sure, man. But it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast after being such a fan of your music and sound that you produce for artists. I highly admire your line of work and your craft as an artist, having the ability to create musical notes, beats, rhythms out of essentially nothing. That's honestly true magic to me. Like, a lot of people say film is magic, which it is in a way. I call it more miraculous that everything comes together because I've been on set many times, and it's amazing how like these moving parts and things could literally not work out in the moment, in a moment's notice. But the fact that when you're editing it, it seems to work seamlessly is truly a miracle in itself. But with music, it's magic, man. Like, I'm not musically inclined at all, and I love music. I use it to leverage my craft. I'm actually scoring a short film right now, and the fact that I can the fact that I can pick any selection of music from different genres, from different moods and settings and instruments, I just don't even know how it is conceived to begin with. You know what I mean? So credit to you for tackling this art form and being talented at it.
Yeah. I mean, it took a lot of time to get to where I'm at now. And I mean, there are a lot of moving parts, even like how you said with film and stuff, and it can get a little overwhelming. But then once you kind of get the hang of everything.
For sure, man. Yeah. Honestly, like, I'm sure you're the same way as me. Like, this isn't just our passion. This is our calling. This is something that we're drawn to for a reason. This is all that we know. And again, from hearing your tracks, with Falk One Represent, we'll be talking about him and your collaboration very soon, because he's a prominent collaboration that you have in recent memory. And that's the music video that I directed. That was your song Reckless. Amazing song, very catchy, very, in touch, very relevant, I should say, with the generation. But I want to get into now, how did you discover your passion and talent for music?
For me, I mean, put it simply, it was honestly a genuine curiosity for how it's made. I started getting into EDM, electronic like dance music, and then I kind of just got more and more interested in it. And then I started going to shows and festivals and that kind of thing. And then eventually I just kind of wondered how, these artists that I listen to make this stuff.
Yeah.
It seems to just appear out of thin air.
And yeah, like I was saying.
Yeah, so I just went on YouTube and just started searching around and just found stuff and found softwares, and then just started practicing, and then I realized that I really enjoyed it. I was really bad at it at first because you're not used to the regular process and the flow and what to do.
Right.
It really got a good interest in me.
No, that's cool. And what kind of software do you use? Because I was trying to dabble in that area, and I kind of gave up on it. Is it Audition?
No, for me, I first started with FL Studio. I think it's pretty common and more honestly in like beat makers, like rap beats and that kind of thing, because it's so easy to use. I mean, there's so many out there. Like, I've tried with Logic Pro, which is like an Apple software. I believe that it's owned by Apple. But for me, like they were all so complicated, and FL Studio, it stands for Fruity Loops. Like it was just like it just worked for me, and I liked it, and it was
Yeah.
simple, so I just kind of went with it, and then I just have been using it ever since. It's been like 7 years now, I think, with it.
So yeah, no, great, great kind of background story. You know how you got into music and with regards to the musical programs. But I want to know from you, man. Like, why did you decide to fully commit to pursuing a career in music?
I mean, it was just really fun, honestly. Like
Yeah,
from like the beginning, like I just had a lot of fun doing it. And I mean, I know the saying is, time flies when you're having fun, and it really has for
yeah,
me.
yeah,
It's been like 6, 7 years, and like it's felt like yesterday that it just started. And it's honestly, it's like it's a joy getting to work with like other artists like Fuck One and stuff, and it's really fun. So, I mean, clearly, like I got something going on here. I enjoy doing it. Like I'm getting better at it. So, I figured why not just continue with it, honestly.
yeah. And it doesn't feel like work to you, right? Like I think that's the most important thing.
Not at all, not at
Yeah,
all. And that's like the best part about it is like, I mean, sometimes it can be taxing because
yeah,
it's hard to find uh like the gold, like you go through so many like poor things to get like the best thing. But then once you find it, it's like it's fantastic. It's a great feeling.
yeah. No, honestly, then like the thing for me is that, like you said, it can get taxing. I think the only reason why it can get a little bit lethargic, at times, tiresome, I mean, is that you just kind of put a lot of pressure on yourself. I
Yeah.
think that's
Oh
when the
yeah.
expectations come in. Because there was a time, especially me when I was much younger, and that's all you had, right? You had school and your passion.
Yeah.
There was not really any expectations to be an adult, any expectations
Exactly.
to make money by a certain time or get a job, or you know what I mean. But as you
Yeah.
pile those things on, that's why a lot of people say this is the best time, the best age to do it, because you don't have that many responsibilities as you
I
can think of,
agree.
right?
I agree definitely. Yeah.
So I'm glad we're on the same page with that. And I'm glad you treat it like it's fun. It's not something because you want to make a quick buck out of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some people might say that, like, hey, like, maybe it's easy money, right? But for you, it's all about passion. That's where it starts. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Um, Now, with this decision to pursue music full time, you were mentioning before the podcast, you got a family business going on.
Yeah.
And from what I see, your friends seem supportive, but was that all? Was there all support? Or were there any setbacks from the people closest to you?
No, from day one, everyone was so supportive. And I think that was like such like a crucial part of it. Because at the start, it's a very uncertain thing, like it's a new thing. So my parents especially were always like trying to help me out with like,
Yeah,
things I needed, maybe like even putting out ideas of like directions I should go in.
that's amazing.
Yeah, so it was really nice to see that because like especially at the start when like you're the person and you like know nothing about what you're doing,
Yeah,
like you're hard on yourself, right? Because it's like the expectation is like at the very top, but then you're like always to yourself at the very bottom.
yeah,
um and then friends as well, just like the general support about like, when's the next project, like what are you working on, like what's it like, you know what I mean? So having even just like the slightest bit of interest from like people around you, it goes a long way because then you see that people care, and then you start to get more.
Oh, you cut out. Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
Oh, I just said it's good to have like the slightest bit of feedback and support because you just get more inspired and more passionate about what you're doing, and you want to keep sharing that
Yeah,
with
that's
people
interesting
around
that you
you.
said
Yeah.
that, because that's something that I kind of argue with some sort of creatives or even people that support me, is the recognition, right? They might
Yeah.
look at it as something that's petty or pretentious, like why do you need that? But it's good to be encouraged, right? Like your work is being seen, it's being heard, it's being valued.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of artists sometimes don't get, and we need that, right? We also need to be self-aware too, right? We have to know if our work is good, right? Like as much as I believe my work is good, the only reason why I keep going after it is because I know it's hitting an audience, right?
Yeah.
You feel the same way?
Yeah. I mean, and even in certain aspects, I think one thing I appreciate even more honestly than recognition is like criticism in a way.
Okay, great.
Right?
Yeah,
Because I mean, even if you're putting something out there that you think is your best, people might see in a supportive way, and they might tell you that there's things that you can work on. And then eventually, I mean, in my case, I started to see little things like I open old projects of mine and I see the old things I used to do. At the time, I thought they were like the proper way, but then, I mean, 2, 3 years down the road, you see that like it was like an amateur way to do it.
Yeah.
So the criticism helps you like kind of open your eyes to see, okay, maybe there's a way I can go about this that's better. And then you improve from that. So I think I value, I mean, both at the same time and place, but I think they're both important in their own way.
Yeah, that speaks a lot on your character, right? Like that you're an open-minded individual. A lot of artists could be very
Exactly.
protective of their work, recluse, but you embrace it. You embrace change, and that's what's getting you this far, right? Through
Exactly.
progress. That's something that I definitely, not that I wasn't open to criticism, but art, let's be honest, is, an expression of you. It's an extension, I should really say. So a lot of times it could be very personal if someone is butchering it or attacking it. But what you soon realize is they're trying to help you. They're trying to help you improve and get better. That's why you have to like get it from the right people that matter, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of the same thing for me. At first, it's like you think everyone's like just trying to be rude, but then it's like that's not the case, obviously. Like,
Yeah,
they're
of
just trying to be
course.
supportive.
Like there are people that are obviously like, gonna attack you or criticize you, especially as you grow larger and larger, right? In your career. But for the most part, you have to, as an artist as well. That's what I meant by the self-awareness, is take what you need, right?
Exactly.
Take what's important to you, and where you can apply it, right? You have to also be self-aware as an artist, like what you're capable of and what you're talented with, right?
Yeah, that's really well put.
If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, as they say, right? So that
Exactly.
applies to that area for sure as an artist. But appreciate that, Chino. And now music, as I established, is such a fascinating medium. Oh, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, you cut out. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. A
Cool,
lot of
cool.
editing on this podcast that I gotta do. It's all good. It's all good. Music is such a fascinating medium, as I established. I often tell my guests and colleagues of film that the art itself is imperative to telling my stories. So like I was telling you with my short film I'm editing right now, score just elevates it. It really transcends the story, and it immerses people with emotion, right?
Right.
So I want to know from you, like, what is the creative process when you're creating a track for an artist? Like, how do you even come up with it?
Well, I mean, I think what you just said is a very important part. Like it's about emotion for me,
Okay.
at least.
Nice.
There's no really like set starting point that I go with. I kind of
Right.
just go with like whatever mood I'm in. And then I just start throwing things at the wall, and like whatever sticks and catches my ear is just like, okay, let's go with this and try where it goes. And a lot of time it fails, but that's kind of like the process, right? And for me, because I produce like tracks for myself, like under my own name, and then for
Right.
people like for Fuck One. So for me, I kind of go with like, I guess, melodies first and build it from there. Because I mean, the only really attention that's there is my own, and there's no one else like having to, I guess, approve it, if you will.
Right.
But then for working with someone with Falk One, like usually I just make a couple of like instrumentals and send it to him, and then he'll kind of pick what he likes, or maybe he'll give me ideas on what kind of vibe he's going for, and then I just kind of readjust and send it back to him.
Oh, okay.
So it's
So it's
really
not
over the
one.
place.
Yeah, it's not one
No.
dependent on the other. Like you will create sometimes your own beats, and he'll work a song around that. Wow,
Yeah, and
that's
sometimes he'll give me a vocal line, and he's like, "I really like this," and I'm like, "Okay." So then I kind of think about what I could put behind it, and then I started sending him like a rough sketch, and then he's like, "Yes" or "No," and then we go from there. It's a lot of back and forth, but
Yeah,
I think it's well needed to get like the perfect result. So,
amazing. No,
yeah.
that's something that I'm always drawn to, right, as a filmmaker, because I'm using a lot of your, well, not your music specifically, but the industries, right? I'm using music, and I always want to know, like, from someone in your position, a music producer, like how that manifests, right? How that comes into creation. And that's very interesting to hear. It kind of makes sense too, right? Like people ask me, how do I write a story? Sometimes I'm inspired by a conversation with a friend, or like I'll see something on the street. Another time I'll just hear a track, right? Kind of like what you send the track to Talk One, and I'll be like, yo, like this track inspires me, this hits hard, this, and then I start creating a whole world from just that one piece of music. Sometimes because I want to see a whole world centered on that one piece of music being used, right? So that's, again, a testament to how important music and sound is in filmmaking, right? We often joke around as filmmakers, it's second, if not just as important as story, right? Like as soon as when you watch a movie, man, like if the sound is off or like the music, you're not going to watch it, no matter how great the visuals are, no matter how the performance could be, like, you know what I mean? Robert De Niro, Academy Award, whatever, but you'll turn it off. You'll be like, yo, I can't watch this.
Yeah, it really can make or break like a scene or like the whole film in general, right? So
that's why I call the guy when Yeah, no, when I'm doing a film
Yeah.
set, that's why I call the guy recording the sound God. Because if that guy's telling me I'm serious. If that guy's telling me, yo, we can't yell action yet because there's a propeller in the background and like a plane's flying by, we have to wait for it to pass. I'm listening to him because that could screw up a whole take. Because
Yeah.
guess what? If that take works out, I can't use that shot because all you hear is bah, 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 right in the
True,
background.
true.
So
Yeah.
he decides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's things, I guess, like those guys that just have like they're very, I guess, simple things in nature, but they just have the ear for it. And they know what will work and what won't work. And like I
100%.
I wouldn't even say that I'm at that point yet.
So I want to know from you, like, what influences from artists to genres play a role in your construction of the music?
I mean, I take a lot of inspiration from music I listen to, which
Okay.
is mostly like EDM, but a lot of times I just kind of listen just to random things
Okay.
just to see like what people are doing in a sense, right? To see maybe what new things have introduced and maybe how I could take like a piece of it or like an inspiration
So
from
EDM
it.
is probably your most prominent influence, you would say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've listened to it like most of my life, and that's kind of what I'm more drawn to.
Yeah. I
So
appreciate that too. Yeah. I love that genre. Avicii,
yeah,
let's go.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, even if they're like subgenres of EDM that I don't make, like
Right.
there might be things that I take from it and use it in a like a different way.
Right.
So I'm really like just open to anything and just kind of take ideas like at face value for what they could be. Like, you know what I mean? So I mean, it really just depends on, I guess, the emotion as well about what kind of like
It's a good
mood
point.
I'm into creating.
Yeah.
So sometimes it doesn't line up, but if it does and I'm in the zone for it, then I just run with it.
Yeah. It's important because you're not beholden to just one genre, right?
Exactly.
You can apply yourself in different areas and you're versatile, really. That's
Yeah.
what the best artist is. Because people ask me like, what kind of music do you like? I'm like, listen, as a filmmaker, I listen to everything, literally. Like if a
Yeah.
country music fits the scene beautifully, we're putting it in like
Mm-hmm.
synonymous. My iTunes is literally all over the place from different genres, one hit wonders, like crazy, right?
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of guy that just has hip hop or Drake, you know what I mean? Like, because a lot of people our age, let's be honest, have either hip hop or rap, right?
Yeah.
It's just that what the generation's listening to, just like when our parents were around, it was like rock and heavy metal.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, like I appreciate that you said that that you're not beholden to just one genre. It's kind of like anything can play an influence. But EDM, man, yeah, different sound for sure. Beautifully put to in music. I mean, in movies, it could act as a score. And a lot of EDM music I listen to actually inspires certain scenes or moments in a script.
Cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. So when you said that, I was again Avicii definitely is on like my top 10 for sure. I have other artists in my head that I can't really think of. I'm really bad with artist names. I'm serious. I just kind of listen to the song.
Yeah, I want that too sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think I have one here. Let me pull it up because it's gonna bother me. But no, listening to just this artist, it just like it's really beautiful, like how the sounds like kind of euphoric, really like it's done in a nice like kind of symphony. Like Shane Codd, like I've been listening to that. He does EDM music, yeah, and like Mentis. Yeah, Shane Codd more recently. It's at the gym a lot too. Get out of my head. Like just crazy music. But
cool.
Yeah, for sure. Like definitely a great artist. Is there an artist particularly that you are fond of or that inspires you?
I mean, at the very beginning and still now, it was Martin Garrix,
Okay.
of course. Like,
Great.
I mean, one of the biggest names there is. So
Of
it's not really like a unique story or anything, but he was kind of the one that really got me kind of going. And then even more recently, not as well known, but he goes by Brooks, and he's made songs with Martin Garrix and David Guetta. And I used to like, well, that's not used to, I still do like love his music and like take inspiration for what he does in his like technical stuff. But it's cool as well because I like sometime last year when I was downtown, he was actually there and I met him just on the street randomly. And he's not from here.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
He's
you already met your hero.
Here.
I love it.
Yeah.
Everyone's meeting their hero here. I love it. Tarantino, where are you? Where you at?
So it was cool because like he was like so nice. And it's like it's weird to see someone that you kind of like idolize in a way in person.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's a sign from God. So you're just walking literally, and he was.
We left the bar. I was walking down the street, and he was coming out of I think it was Petty Cash or something like that. And
he was by himself.
No, he was with I think it was his girlfriend and I guess his
Okay, that's
friend
dope.
and his friend. They're like the double date kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I just saw him and like instantly I recognized
Of
him. And I was
course.
at first you kind of get scared because you're just like holy smokes, like this is this what I think it is, you know?
That's crazy, man.
And then yeah, he was really nice, took a picture, all that kind of stuff. And then
Oh, good for you, man. Well, yeah,
yeah,
like, you have that moment now, right? Like you can sleep
yeah,
easier at night.
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? You had that moment. That's
Yeah.
great. Did you tell him like what you do and like what you aspire to do or no?
Well, at the moment I didn't because I was honestly just too in shock.
Yeah, of
But
course. Yeah.
after, because like I was like a thing I put on my story, and then I DM'd him whatever, and he responded, and he was like
Oh,
so nice.
that's amazing. He
He
actually did.
responded,
Wow.
he responded, he followed me back.
Oh, he did. He
And-
followed Martin Garrix follows you. That's crazy.
no, not Martin Garrix, not
Oh,
Martin
oh,
Garrix. The guy Brooks I was talking about, who's worked with Martin Garrix.
oh. Okay, okay, okay. My bad.
But he's still like really big, like in like the scene. Like he plays at like if you know festivals like Ultra, Tomorrowland.
Yeah, yeah. Those are big
Like
festivals. For sure.
he like he plays there, and he's released a song actually with Martin Garrix like a couple weeks ago. So yeah, he was so nice. He responded to my DM, he followed me back and stuff. So it was like one of those things that just like it's just a feel good moment.
Yeah, man. That's your field, right? Like that's who you are. You're a music producer, right?
Yeah,
Just like
yeah,
who I idolize Tarantino, an actor would idolize DiCaprio, right? Like
exactly.
it's in your field. So like I wouldn't know who that is, but to you it's special, right?
Yeah.
And to the same thing, right? Of who my hero is. Falk One has his heroes, right?
Exactly,
So
exactly.
very cool, man. Now I want to get into something, why we choose as artists to pursue this path, why we're crazy enough to have the conviction. So for you, what inspires you most to consistently create music, or as your Instagram page would say, seek the magic in music?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Because even you said like at the very start of the podcast, like how it's magic.
Yeah, it is, man.
I love how you put it, but even like a way, I guess, to explain it in a way that makes sense to like most people
For
is
sure.
when you find a song that you just can't wait to play over and over and over again. Like you can't stop listening to it like in a day.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah, and you just like you can't wait to get in your car or get home just to blast that
Just
one
to
song.
blast it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling I get with making it. Like
That's
when I
amazing.
make something that I think is like has potential to be really good, I can't wait to get back like where I'm sitting right now, has the studio,
Right.
and just like and just go at it again. So like it's kind of like that burning passion to like keep going at what you're doing. And then when I find that one thing, it just makes my day. So that's kind
100%.
of yeah, it's kind of like the magic that I want to seek all the time. So that's why I
Boy,
find
that's a
that-
great way of
yeah.
putting it, because that's definitely something to strive for. Everyone can relate to listening to that same song over and over again.
Yeah.
As a filmmaker, there's so many songs. I have like a playlist tab that's called Film. So it's basically all the tracks that I'm inspired by, but also I want to see in my own films if I get the licensing. And like I'm at the gym and I'm just replaying this song. I'm not kidding you, like over and over again. And you're thinking to yourself, like, why would you replay the same fucking song over and over again?
Yeah, yeah.
But some songs hit different, man. Some songs just like it again transcends the feeling. The ideas that come to mind, even the mood, right? So really cool, man. That was really well put. I actually admire that. To make songs that are listenable, right? Like for me, my whole goal
Exactly.
is as a filmmaker to make films that you want to rewatch again, or when you do rewatch them, you get more value from them, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
I always tell people I work with my colleagues is you got to have a rewatchability factor. So what that means is when you watch it again, you get something out of it more and more. And I don't know about your favorite movies, but like a lot of people will tell me every time I rewatch, Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, like I'll get something more out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I really appreciate that part of like film, like being able to like pick up on new things after watching it a second time, maybe because you take a different view on it or you understand it a
Yeah.
bit more. I mean, I really like that depth because I mean, I imagine a story with film is so like perfectly constructed that there's so much that goes into it that you can get by watching it different
A
times.
well, yeah, a well-written, well-crafted film, man. I'm telling you, because again, I study it just like you study music. It's like science. It's not even art. Like it's everything means something. Everything is a cause and effect to something else, right? That's why I always I'm insistent whenever I'm like writing something. I'm very particular. It's like every piece of dialogue has to be spoken a certain way or said a certain way because it transpires to the next thing, right?
Right.
It involves the next thing. Everything is kind of intertwined. If you miss a piece of dialogue, it could screw up in the editing process because
Yeah.
characters will be talking about something that wasn't really brushed upon before, right? Also the narrative 3-act structure, right? Like if things aren't introduced in the first act, you can't mention in the third act, right?
Right.
So you start to see it as like art is basically a science, man. Like at some point, I think like us, like what we do in our craft, I don't know if you're witnessing this, but you kind of strip the illusion every day you kind of persist at this craft. You feel the same?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of kind of like what you said, there's a lot of technicals too in music. Maybe not so many pieces as there is in film, just because there's a lot of like moving parts in film and a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of different
100%.
things that go into one, right?
For sure.
But there are technicals that you can get lost in music that sometimes I do get lost in as well. And it's tough because it does become a science at a point, but I try not to take away from the creativity, because then you really just limit yourself, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And that's a great way of putting it, right? It's like, as much as I see it as a science, you'll take away the magic or the fun of
Yeah,
it, right?
exactly.
If you look at it too much. I just can't help it because I'm in it so often that
Yeah.
you just see, especially when you watch film, like, oh, that's how they pull that shot. That's how they do this. But
Oh, that's cool.
but a good, right? But a
Yeah.
good one. I'm telling you, man, even though I have that side of my brain, a well-crafted film will always immerse me. And then
Yeah.
after the fact, I'll say, oh, that's how they did this. I'll say that. But it's really amazing. That's why I keep calling it a science, man, because once you kind of understand how to pull the strings in a script, how to get people to react to a certain scene or emote, it's really a fun time. Excruciating, don't get me wrong, it has its moments. You know what I mean? Like writing, I'm not going to say it's a walk in the park, guys. Like there are moments where I have mental breakdowns probably, but when you get those words on paper, man, and you create something out of nothing, right? What we really do. That's probably the best reward you can get in life. I think the best dopamine high, right?
Yeah, you find that one thing that just works, and then you just feel good.
It just clicks, and then you listen to it. I'm sure you listen to your tracks over and over again, just out of pride, like to learn where you can improve, but also out of pride, right? Like this is something that came out of my head.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Every once in a while, I do. Because I mean, while I'm making it, I always listen to it a million times once before it's released.
100%. Yeah.
But even after I listen to it too, it's like, wow, I actually did this.
And even when you release it, like Reckless, I'll give you an example, right? Falcon is a song. I did the music video for it. Obviously, I'm watching it over and over again to see if it's a cohesive piece of art. And then I watch it over and over again after everyone reviews it to see what they see. Like I'm watching it with their now reviews in my head. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like, and the song itself is probably my favorite so far. I just really like the track of it. It just pulls you in and it fits perfectly with the lyrics. So I like that you guys worked in concert with each other. I think you did it beautifully. Yeah, harmoniously.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So speaking of Falk One, speaking of all these collaborations that you and I, we have a mutual collaboration with the Toronto-based artist Falk One. He seems to be a prominent figure on your socials, with you two creating a number of tracks halfway into 2022. How did this creative partnership form?
With Falk One, I guess to put it simply, we kind of met like a family friend, I guess, in a way.
Nice.
Who kind of gave me like his socials.
Okay.
And then from there, I just kind of DM'd him, said like, hey, what's up? I love your stuff. I think we should work. And then we just kind of met up and just started like doing random things. And then the vibe was just there. We were jamming out. It was good. And then you could just tell, like me and him could tell, like at that point, I'm like, okay, this is something. Right?
Something special, right?
Yeah. It was something special. And then we just started working on like tracks, and then we had so many at one point that he's wanted to do an album. He wanted to like finish an album.
Yeah.
So we put that together, and that was like the first project that we did, the first big project we did. And then from there, it just kind of like flew. And it seems like it was yesterday that we just started, but it just came so far. It's just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like 00, that album came out. Now you guys are just doing EPs, breaking it up, which is kind of smart too, right? With marketing, gives you time to like work on other projects in the meantime and make it look as if like it's that consistency, right?
Yeah, we have a lot going on too, because like there's tracks for like my brand, like my name.
That's
like,
right.
That he's singing on as well. So it's like we're creating stuff for my brand and making stuff for his brand and connecting them, and it's just like a lot. But it's good. I love
Those
it.
are the best partnerships, man, right? Is that you help each other out. You kind of kill two birds with one stone. That's what I do, right? With the people I collaborate with. I'm like, oh, you're an actor? Yeah, okay. You're gonna be in my short films, but you're also gonna help me produce it. Like find, the equipment, the props, the location. You know what I mean? So it's like that's what I have actually with a friend of mine right now, right? Like he not only is an actor, he acts as a producer, and I provide him with a film, right, that he can
Right.
act in, um, that he's proud of, right, that he
Yeah.
can use on his resume, and that's something that we've done for 2 films so far now. It's getting into festivals, giving him exposure, but it also gives me exposure, right? Gets
Mhm.
my hands wet, like my feet wet, I should say, and like
Yeah.
lets me dive into that world of filmmaking. So really cool, man. Now, what other genres of music do you desire exploring with Falk One, or maybe even for your own brand, do you think in the future?
Well, just to begin with, like before we kind of started working, like he never really did EDM before. So
Oh, okay, wow.
yeah, so I like kind of pulled him in there and convinced him, like, you have the voice, just do it, like, just try it.
Is
And it
this for
worked out.
Nocturnal's an EDM song?
No, it was for one of the EPs, an EP I dropped last October.
Oh,
It's
okay.
called Game, and
Okay,
I
I think I
sent them
might have
that
heard of it.
track. Yeah, I sent them that track a while ago, and I was like, dude, you have to just give it a shot. Like I believe like you can like put gold on it, because like he has got a really great voice, and he
Yeah,
did, and he loved it, and he's like, okay, like I see what you're talking about now. So now, like when it comes to EDM songs, he just goes on it instantly, and he loves it, and it's great
love
because
it.
he does such a good job. So I'm so happy to have him to do
Yeah.
that. Um, but genre wise, we kind of go like all over the board really with me and him. Like, I mean, we mainly stick EDM, and then like pop, I guess R&B, and then like rap, I guess you could say. But we don't really stay anywhere like certain. We kind of just go what the mood is, and like I'll just make random stuff. Sometimes I'll make a drill beat, and he'll go on the drill beat.
It's
So it's
amazing.
just like, yeah, it's just random stuff like that. And sometimes we take like rock influence into like like a rap song or a pop song. That's kind of
Yeah,
what what Reckless was. It was kind of like a rock influence with the guitar and the kind of like drums, I guess,
it
in a
was. Yeah, I was
sense.
gonna say it mirrored kind of like that rock genre.
Yeah,
That's
and
the vibe I got.
the same thing with another track we did like on one of his EPs later on after that album. But I think for the most part, we'll stay in like the kind of four main genres and kind of pull. Like we pull like rock influence into EDM, rock influence into pop, and then like maybe do the reverse. So it's kind of like all over the place there, but mostly the pop, R&B, rap kind of stuff.
That's cool, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, EDM it's kind of like a two-way street, right? Like you guys
Yeah.
have to find like a mutual understanding, a common ground. If
Mhm.
I know he's into like his rap, but if you're into your EDM, you would want
Yeah.
to see that, right, showcased. And like you said, as someone who constructs beats for a living, right, a music producer, you would want
Mhm.
the only way to make it come into fruition if you have a singer,
Yeah.
right? Like you can't just have like these random beats like floating around. I know what that struggle is as an artist. Like as a film director, as much as I write my stories, if I don't have my actors or my crew, nothing can
Exactly.
come out, right? So now that you have this
Exactly.
talented artist, it's like, yo, we can put this out there, right?
Yeah.
So I do this for you, you do this for me, kind of thing, right? So I love that
Yeah.
mutual understanding you guys have. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's a real blessing because it's like we've kind of like moved apart from like, I guess, a business partnership in a sense,
Yeah,
to like being friends, like being boys, and you just
that's
like
what I was gonna say.
you make
Like,
music for fun. You know what I mean?
yeah, I was gonna say like
Yeah.
originally, like you guys weren't, because I always got the impression you guys were just friends or like you went to same school, whatever. When I met you at the house party, right?
Hmm.
But then no, he explained no, it was through family, friends, and that's how it starts, right? Like you gotta connect. I know his parents are, avid supporters, right? So they're probably always like telling people like, oh, like my son
Yeah.
does music, right? So
Yeah, I love that about his parents. His parents are so supportive.
yeah,
And
man.
his whole family is, and I love that so much.
No,
It's
for
like
sure. That's what you
amazing.
need, man. Like my
Yeah.
parents for sure. Like I'm grateful that way too. Like very appreciative. My parents more reserved, like they just keep it like between me, like
Yeah.
hush hush. But because they don't have any of the social media. But what I'm saying is when we go out or when we're at like a wedding, whatever, if we find out
Hmm.
like someone didn't film, like they're always, especially my mom, give credit to her, always
Yeah.
advocating about me. And that's actually how I connected with a couple people that I still connect to today because she just put herself out there. She stuck her neck out and said, my son's also into it. But I also
Mhm.
take them up on it, like take the ownership and say I'm not going to be one of those recommended contacts that's like I like
Right.
movies, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
one guy that I'm connecting with now is a family friend or a long distant cousin. He's in LA. Like I make sure like I'm connecting with him, showing him like this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm up to.
Yeah.
Because I was always like, how it is like in the business, everyone wants to be a musician or a film artist,
Yeah.
whatever. but there's one thing about talking about it and doing it, right? So I always
Exactly.
like to position myself in that way, as you are, right? Always
Yeah.
putting out stuff, always creating content. So that's great, man. I'm really happy with your journey so far. Your collaboration with Falc One, and your intention, your passion to be a musician in the first
Mhm.
place. Now I want to know from you before we go, what is the legacy you wish to leave behind as a music producer?
The legacy. That's a good question because I never really thought about that like
Yeah, I get that a lot.
wholeheartedly, But I think like if I were to like I guess put a message that I guess would describe the legacy in a sense is like I think that people should let the creative process take control because I think that there's a beauty in not knowing what you're doing because that lets you create things that are like that someone that maybe did know what they were doing wouldn't have done, right?
Right,
Because personally I don't have any like actual education in like music production. I didn't go to school for it.
right.
Didn't really do any of that. I taught everything myself. Everything I know is from me learning myself and teaching myself.
Amazing.
So on that journey, like I didn't really know what I was doing, but I created a lot of stuff I'm happy I did because maybe if I was technically experienced that I would have thought that it was an unorthodox way to do it and I wouldn't have done it. Because there are benefits to going to school for it, of course, that maybe would have boosted where I'm at right now. But I think doing this route uh, really helped me kind of get an actual hands-on understanding of how to do this and how to get around it. So I think like message wise, like legacy wise, I don't think people should think less of themselves if they don't have the standard like expected
Yeah,
experience and education that people think that you should have and not to doubt yourself. You can do anything if you really put your mind to it and if you put your time to it. Like it
yeah.
takes, let's say, time. It does take a lot of like sacrificing in a sense, to get where you want to be. But I think people should just be creative, and I hope that through my work and stuff, people can take that message of be creative. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Worry about yourself and just have fun with it.
Exactly, man. That was really well put, and it's something that I aspire to as well. Like, that's why I asked this question. I'm curious as to other artists, like where their mindset is at.
Mhm.
Some people, believe it or not, don't really have a legacy they wish to leave behind. It's kind of like they just want to do their art, and that's it.
Yeah,
But there are
yeah, I
some
get that too.
people like us. What you just said is there's a message that's bigger than us that they want to be captured, right? By
Mhm.
their audience, their community, and that is, like you said, there's no formalities to being an artist.
Exactly.
There's no formula to the journey. You can get it on your own if you
Mhm.
put your mind to it, like you just said. For me, I didn't go to film school, right? I'm self-taught, exactly like you, and that's why I kind of admire you. Like when we were talking, is it's not like you went to like the Juilliard school of whatever music,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
This guy like just YouTube videoed it, like just hours of commitment, persistence, that all stem from, really, if you think about it, just being passionate about music.
exactly.
And that's something that, like Tarantino, why he's my hero, like people think it's just because of his movies. It's not. It's the whole picture. It's the whole,
Mhm.
like, what he represents. He's the rebel in Hollywood. He's the guy that worked at a video store and came in there and like blew everyone out of the water, right? The revolutionary.
Mhm.
And that's how I see myself. It's like I want to be the guy that goes into the industry, breaks in, and if people watch my movies, the younger generation, the next generation, I want them to be like, read me up and be like, wow, this guy never went to film school. Like,
Exactly.
mom, I don't need to
Yeah.
go to film school. Like, I can do it. Because when I was growing up, man, I was told my whole life, like, yo, if you want to be a filmmaker, why don't you just study film? Or like my
Mhm.
dad told me, why don't you go to York for film school? Why don't you? And I felt that was discouraging me. Like, it was said with such, spite, like, you should have done something about it.
Mhm.
And I've made so many connections and contacts. Was it easy? No, because I knew no one and it was frightening as hell. Film
Mhm.
school grants you that opportunity. But man, like yourself, right? It's possible,
Yeah.
we're the embodiment. Obviously, we have a long way to go. We're the embodiment of like what could happen if you just kind of set your mind to something and do it.
Yeah, and there's a beauty in that. When you put all your time and effort into it, like you feel like you owe yourself that expectation to keep going and keep pushing. And then
Exactly.
that's when you discover like a new part of yourself and new ways to be good at what you're doing. So
Exactly.
there's a real beauty in that.
100%, man. Well, I'm really happy that you have yourself a legacy, and I'm really happy
Yeah.
that you're staying true to the art of music, right? It's so
Yeah.
important. Music is essential to every art form and every medium. I can't think of one that doesn't utilize it. Even the guy paints a canvas is using music to inspire
Right.
himself or
Right.
defeat the boredom, the tedious nature of
Exactly.
painting, right?
Exactly.
So music applies everywhere. Thank you so much, Chino, for coming on the podcast, discussing
Yeah.
your journey, sharing your insights as a music producer, and all the upcoming successes I wish you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's really nice to be able to kind of express myself and talk about all these things that are going on. It's really cool. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%. Having said that, thank you so much, Chino, again, for coming on the podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll talk soon.